Hello dear P3s, are you there? I'm also very fine. Hope you are doing well. Are you ready for the lesson? Ready for me? Before I teach you what I'm supposed to teach, I want to send this message to you. Are you listening? Listen to this. Those born in October, stand up, stand up. Turn around and show your birthday. Are you there? Were you born in October? I love this month. I know many of my children were born in this month. Happy birthday to you. If it has passed or not yet, it is still your month. Okay. Here we are in the next lesson, and that is the 13th lesson, and that is English, where I love many of you to listen, because when you listen, you'll be able to understand. If it is time to speaking, speak. Feel free. That's when you'll know that you are good at speaking. You can construct correct sentences, and you can express yourself. If it is time to read, read. Don't shy away. Open the mouth like me. If it is time to write, you have to write to improve on your writing skills. Let's see. What are we supposed to handle? Oh, I left you with an exercise. Let's go through it. It was very simple. It was all about choosing the correct words given in brackets to complete the sentences. 1. Rhoda was dashed in Mulago Hospital yesterday, and your task was to choose the correct word to prove to me that you've understood the past tense of these verbs and their spellings. Check the word admitted. The word admitted is under those verbs that double before adding ed. So we had to choose the one that doubles tt. Number 2, what dashed to Rick last night? We have 2 happened. One is correct, one is wrong. But the correct happened does not double. So when it comes to happened, we don't double. It's under those verbs that end in CVC but do not double. 3, she dashed her food with a clean plate. Covered. One doubles, one doesn't double. What is the right covered? It does not double. However much it ends in CVC. 4th, Kato dashed a glass on the floor yesterday. We have 2 dropped. One doubles, one doesn't. What is the correct one? Dropped doubles. So stop making that mistake. Lastly, uncle and dad dashed to Cavalry last week. What do? Traveled. Traveled doubles. So be very careful wherever you meet such verbs that end in CVC. There are those that double and there are those that do not double. So you have to be extremely keen. So here we are. We are to look at verbs that end in Y. What do we do when it comes to past simple tense? Have you started to guess or to find out what happens to this Y when it comes to past simple tense? Here we are. So verbs that end in Y, but before Y there is a consonant. Drop Y for I and then add ed. The thing is very easy. So when you find a verb and it ends in Y, first check on the letter before Y. Consonant or vowel? If it is a consonant, the rule is drop Y. After Y, what comes next? I comes in and then we add ed. So here we are. We have some of the examples. We have curry, it ends in Y. All these ones I've given you end in Y. And before Y, there is a consonant. We are going to drop, and then I will come in, and later we shall add ed. Here we are. We have carry, carried. You can see I has taken the position of Y, and then we added ed. Fry, fried. Marry, married. Try, tried. Copy, copied. Apply, applied. Multiply, multiplied. Copy, copied. I repeated copied. Oh, here we are. We have dry, dried. The sun dried my clothes yesterday, so I'll have to drop Y. Worry, worried. Why were you worried last night? So we have to drop Y. Bury, buried. Study, studied. My uncle studied so hard in order to become a doctor. Even me myself, I studied so hard so as to become a teacher. If it wasn't the case, I wouldn't have become one. We have cry, cried. The baby cried last night. That was too bad. Maybe she was sick. Supply, supplied. Oh, he supplied milk to us this morning. Deny, denied. We dropped Y for I, then ed. Reply, replied. My mother replied politely. Identify, identified. So, hope you've got this principle. Find out if the verb ends in Y. If before Y there is a consonant, drop Y for I, E, D. Is that too hard? It's not. So check on this category too. We have those ones that end in Y, but before Y, there is a vowel letter. What do? Do we also drop? No, we don't drop. We only drop for those ones that end in Y and before Y there is a consonant, but if there is a vowel letter before Y, please leave the verb in peace. Just add ed. I mean it. Leave the verb in peace. Just add ed. So we have some of them. Here we are. We have stay, stayed. You can see before Y there is letter A, which is a vowel letter. So I just added ed. Delay, there is letter A. I just added ed. Annoy, there is letter O before Y. Letter O is a vowel letter. I just added ed. We have play, there is A before Y. I just added ed. Played. Pray, there is A before Y. I just added ed to become prayed. We also have a few that end in Y, but drop that Y for I and D. I'm saying these ones end in Y, but we drop the Y for I, D. One of them is say. We say said. When we write A and I, or when we meet words with A and I, that one is sound A. Everybody say A. That's why from say we shall have said, because of this A and I, which say A. We have pay. Paid. My father paid school fees. We have lay, laid. The hen laid many eggs yesterday. I laid my bed. Good. Hope you have known. Oh, you can now identify those verbs that end in Y, and you can change them to their past tense correctly. So you have to know those ones that drop Y, those ones that do not drop Y, those ones that drop Y, and add id. I can now use my verbs in sentences, which is really fun. That's when I'll test my grammar, my speech. That's when I'll talk comfortably knowing that what I'm speaking is correct, and everyone will love to listen to me because of my nice English and correct. So, sentence 1, the sun dried my what? My clothes. Can be my uniform. The sun dried my clothes first yesterday. The verb is dried. With the word dried, it comes from the word dry. Remember, dry ends with letter Y, and before Y there is R, which we drop for I, E, D. 2. Normally delayed to reach the bus park. The verb is delayed. The word delay ends in Y. Before Y there is letter A, so we just add ed to come up with delayed. Dad paid my school fees last term. That's great. Your dad is good. So daddy paid. The word pays under the other three that drop Y for ID. And the last sentence, his uncle was buried last Thursday. The word bury ends in Y. Before Y there is letter A. The principal says we drop Y for IED. That is if there is a consonant before Y. I think you can now do this simple exercise I've given you, and it's all about correcting the sentences, because if you know the past tense of these verbs, you can tell a correct sentence and you can still identify a wrong sentence. So these sentences are not correct because of the verbs. So check on sentence 1. Last night I prayed for our family. Last night I prayed. Is that correct? So you need to find out the past tense of pray. 2. We had fried eggs for breakfast yesterday. We had fry. What is the past tense of fry? 3. Joseph cried loudly yesterday. Does it remain cry? What is the past tense of cry? Get the right past tense and the correct spelling. You'll have the correct sentence. Harriet enjoyed her holiday last December. Enjoy. Does it remain enjoy? No, it changes. What could be the past tense of enjoy? Find out. I'll be grateful to meet you next time when you have correct sentences. See you in the next lesson when you are safe and sound.